Backed by popular demand, you've all been asking, teach more about the golden ratio in graphic design. So today we're looking at how to use the golden ratio, particularly the golden circles, in logo design. This is one of my favorite methods of creating a logo, so I am super excited to teach you. Let's get into it. The golden ratio in logo design is one of the most popular techniques for creating stunning visual logo marks, and today I'm going to teach you how you can do it, and this is super easy. And if you're a beginning designer, this is a great place to start for logo design because it makes great marks almost every time. Before we look at how to do this though, we have to understand what the golden ratio is, and that is, it's a set of squares and a geometric ratio that visually looks most aesthetic to the human eye. And we don't know why it looks so visually appealing, but there's tons of examples in nature and architecture and all kinds of places where the golden ratio is used and it just looks great. So go Google that on your own time. Just Google like golden ratio examples in the real world or something like that. And some of these examples about how the golden ratio is naturally used is just mind-blowing. But for the purposes of this video, we're going to look at the golden ratio in logo design. And there's tons of logos out there that have used the golden ratio. The Apple logo, the Twitter logo, the Nike logo, they've all used the golden ratio in some form or another, and you should definitely check those out. But today I'm looking at how to use the golden ratios, and particularly some of my examples where I've done so. Now before I pull this up on Illustrator, I do want to take a minute to remind you to like this video if you enjoy this content so that YouTube knows that this is thumbs up content and I should keep making videos just like this one. Now if you look at this example, here is the golden ratio, and it's the set of squares that we have, but we've turned the squares into circles. And the really cool thing about these circles is the fact that these circles are visually aesthetic to the human eye because they are relationally proportionate to one another based on the golden ratio. And the golden ratio always looks visually aesthetic to the human eye. So that means if we use the curves of these golden circles to create logo marks, we're gonna come up with really aesthetic logos that are based around the visual aesthetic of the golden ratio. Let's look at this example here. Here we've got these three circles, and these are the golden ratio circles. We've grabbed them and we've just kind of like laid them out on the page in a really, I don't know, different, interesting way. Now, if I were going to create a logo out of this, I'm going to try to create the shapes of the logo using the curves of the golden ratio circles. So if I go ahead and select all of these, what I can do is I can just grab my shape builder tool and I can start creating new shapes. And as I create new shapes, these shapes are all built around the curves and the ratio of the golden ratio. So when we create these new shapes, we come up with really cool logo marks that look visually aesthetic. For example, maybe this is one, and if we go ahead and swap the stroke to a fill there, this could maybe be a logo for a space age company or something, but it looks visually aesthetic, visually pleasing because we used the curves of the golden ratio. You're like, okay, I get it. That was really cool. You made a fancy pointy Star Trek symbol or whatever, but how do we actually use this to create more complex marks? Well, let's look at this example here. This is an example for a startup company I worked with called Squirrel Feed, and the squirrel icon is actually based on the golden ratio. So if we're looking at this logo, it looks super aesthetic and visually appealing and everything, but if we go ahead and turn that off and we turn on just this layer, this shows you the icon for the squirrel and how it's built around these curves of the golden ratio. And if we look at it closely, all of the curves in this logo are based on the golden circles. That's what makes this logo mark so visually aesthetic, so pleasing to the human eye. Now, if you illustrated a squirrel logo, you could probably come up with a lot of different really cool concepts, but using the golden circles to create the curves of the lines makes this logo visually aesthetic every single time. So this is just a great example of how we can use the golden circles to create a stunning mark. Now with this last one, I just want to blow your mind with how much you can actually use the golden circles to design great logo marks. Let's look at this example of the Price Harris Elementary logo. This is a logo that I designed for this elementary school, and I'm not really much of an illustrator, so they wanted to have an eagle as the logo, and they already had an eagle. They wanted their mascot updated, so I used the golden circles to create this eagle. This eagle is completely based around the golden circles, and that's why it looks so visually aesthetic. Watch what happens if we just turn off that background layer, and so you can just really see the eagle now, and we'll turn on the layer with all the circles. Whoa, look at that. Look at how many circles it took to make this eagle. It took me a very long time to make this, but all I did was take those golden circles and I positioned them to create a new shape. And if you zoom in, you can see that all of the curves on this eagle mark are just based around circles. It's just based around the circles of the golden ratio. And all of these little curves, I just used the shape builder tool and I just erased and added until I created the shape. Here was kind of my process. I'll just kind of show you. I just took all of these circles, selected them all, went over here, grabbed my shape builder tool. Once I had the vision, once I had the shape of where I wanted to go, you just start creating the shape. That's all you do. And as you do this, the eagle shape starts to emerge. You can see that we just keep erasing, we keep combining shapes, and all of these curves are based on the golden ratio, so they're visually aesthetic every single time. I hope you found this quick video helpful on how to design with the golden ratio circles, and maybe in your next logo design process, you can use the golden circles to create the curves of your logo mark and create those really tasty designs. Remember, if you learned something, please go ahead and drop a comment and a like on this video. And if you want to continue to learn about creativity and branding, click one of these links that's popping up on your screen. I'll see you in the next video.